Hello, my friends, and welcome to Postscript. It's nice to have you with us. This is a Postscript interview. I'm John Petersen from the Arlington Institute, and we're pleased to have with us a guest, uh, Paul Nugent, who is going to be our speaker at the Transition Talks on the 6th of September. Paul, how are you? Nice to have you with us.
I'm very well, John, and it's very nice to at long last actually get to kind of meet you, not quite in person, but certainly via Zoom and have a conversation.
Paul, you're an interesting guy. Let me just set this up by saying that I've spent a good bit of time, I guess, in and around different individuals who have purported to be avatars of one sort or another. One of them I spent 6 weeks or so in India with Bhagavan from the Oneness movement, who I was enticed to go over there and spend that time because he said he was a direct kind of representative from kind of the divine to help facilitate the transition to this new world. And then one of my great friends was kind of functioned somewhat at the same way you did for Dr. King with Babaji, who of course, for those who are familiar with him, also lived in India and reportedly was been around I don't know 10, 20,000 years or something. I don't know, a long time. Anyway, extraordinary individuals who kind of get parachuted down onto the planet at one time or another, and are kind of a focus of extraordinary information. And you have spent your life around a gentleman like this, and I would like you to tell us really quickly a little bit about that. Just who was Dr. King, and yeah, tell us kind of specifically about what made him unusual, and you know, compared to, I mean, maybe he's one of 5, 6 people on the planet that was as enlightened and connected as he was.
Thank you, John. And I'm very honoured to be giving a transitional talk at your institute next month, because this conversation is not going to really give us enough time to fully go into the life and extraordinary work of George King. But very briefly, he was born in England in 1919. 20 years later, of course, along came the Second World War. He fundamentally knew that it is wrong to kill. Thou shalt not kill is a commandment greater than the laws of man. Nonetheless, he could recognize that Hitler and Nazism were something to be fought against, and so he signed up as a member of, he joined the fire brigade in London at the age of 20, and went through what's known as the Blitz, the devastating sort of bombing of civilians. And he saw the whole madness of humanity, the madness of war, the insanity of it all. And it caused him to sort of ask deeper questions as to what is our real purpose for being here on Earth. And this was unusual, not to ask that question, but it was the path he took was unusual. He began to practice various forms of yoga. As I say, this was sort of during coming out of the Second World War, and he was doing this very intensely for up to 8 hours a day over a 10-year period. And the consequence of that intensity was that it caused a force that we all have in the base of the spine called the Kundalini. I'm sure you're familiar with this, to rise through a channel in the spine, the Sushumna channel, and open the chakras, the psychic centers that we all have in our aura. And he was able to go into the state known as samadhi, the goal essentially of yoga, to attain that highest state of meditation or consciousness. This was now we'd entered the Cold War. We'd gone further in terms of threatening destruction with not only the use of atom bombs at the end of the Second World War, but in the Cold War went further with the development of the hydrogen bomb. And it was also, of course, the time when the term flying saucers was coined, because people were seeing these craft, multiple times. And from, the perspective which I will present, a part of what I will present, the understanding is that humanity has destroyed our civilization twice before. Most recently in Atlantis, and going further back, a civilization known as Lemuria. We actually even go further back than that, which I'll get into in the talk. So here we were again, threatening to destroy our civilization. And the role Dr. King played was with his, I won't say unique, because it was not unique, but certainly with his exceptional ability to go into what we call a positive yogic samadhic trance. These intelligences from higher dimensions of the other planets, primarily within our own solar system, were able to use him as a very clear or very pure channel of communication with that ability, as I say, to go into a positive yogic samadhic trance. He did this over 600 times. Almost all of the transmissions were recorded. He even did it live on the BBC, as well as here in the United States. And the Aetherius Society has grown up around the sort of profound truths and wisdom that was being spoken by these intelligences from higher dimensions. And at the same time, I suppose, to address the elephant in the room is, who are these intelligences? What are these craft that people are seeing? We're on a profound evolutionary journey, a soul journey. We all are, always have been. And I'd say it's, the fundamental crisis we have on Earth is not a political crisis or an environmental crisis or even a social crisis. Fundamentally, it's a spiritual crisis. We've lost that sense of who and what we really are and what we are a part of. And we're seeing it, the evidence for what are now called obviously UAPs, sort of knocking on our door, not to blatantly, not as yet, perhaps, to blatantly wake us up, but are tapping on our shoulder for us. Because, if they operate within a greater law of karma, it's for us to come into that greater realization. So that sort of just touches on George King and the non-profit organization he founded in England, the Aetherius Society.
Well, that's really quite interesting. There's something obviously from the beginning. That's why you started the organization. There was something unique about the message that Dr. King had here, and that was receiving and transmitting. There are lots of people, I would guess, certainly who have had the Kundalini experience. A lot of history is full of indications of people who've approached samadhi. This extraordinary kind of effort to bypass the destruction that you did describe. There's a unique message here, and that's what I've asked you to talk about here going forward. In September on the 6th, is there's a very kind of novel notion that you already touched on about what this human experience is about and where it's going and what are the options and so on. Could you just touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. You see, it's wonderful to see behind you, John, as an image of the universe. Humanity up to this point has primarily considered itself to be, the center of the universe, the center of what the whole thing is about. It's about us. And yet, with UAPs and other things, crop circles, we're sort of very gently being awakened to a far greater reality. The truth is, we're part of something utterly profound, utterly vast, and that it's all living, it's all interconnected, it's all interrelated, it all has consciousness, and that includes the planet. The Mother Earth. The Mother Earth is a living being. She's not just here for us to rape and pollute and to treat, entirely as we think we can. She's a highly evolved cosmic intelligence going herself through evolution. And the vibrations of the planet are and have been quickened. There's a quickening going on that's far bigger than us. And this is something that has been, at least in part, orchestrated, I use that word carefully, I suppose, by greater cosmic intelligences than ourselves. The Mother Earth has withheld herself for the sake of our own evolution. Having destroyed Lemuria, having destroyed Atlantis, we even go, as I say, go further back than that. And this can only go on for so long. So the vibrations of the planet are being quickened. She is on her own soul journey, as indeed is this whole solar system, as indeed is this whole galaxy. We're moving together with, I think it's at least over 100,000 other galaxies as all part of a supercluster of galaxies called Laniakea. We're on this incredible journey of greater understanding and consciousness and bliss. That's the journey we're on. That's the message that has been that was communicated through Dr. George King. And in addition to just the message, these cosmic intelligences, we would very much include the likes of the Master Jesus in that. We'd include the Buddha in that, other avatars, Sri Krishna, many avatars who've come to Earth, including at this present time, albeit unknown. I mean, humanity is just sort of we're too dim at this point in our evolution to awaken. I mean, even to the realization, the recognition, and the understanding that life goes on beyond death. It also goes on beyond this world. So these cosmic masters are helping us, always have been helping us. You could say almost like a loving parent. But everything operates again within the law of karma, and there's only so much they can do because we've chosen free will. We need to use our free will to regain, you could say, our freedom.
So what did George King say and his sources say about the alternative paths going forward? Clearly, there's a kind of dystopian one, and we can see that all around us. But how do we extract ourselves from this?
Absolutely right. We are at a crossroads. I mean, the classic case of sorting of the wheat from the chaff. We extrapolate ourselves from it by fundamentally getting in touch with our own inner truth, our own inner core. There's a wonderful series of transmissions delivered by an intelligence who goes by the name of Miles Sector 6, we call the 9 freedoms. And it begins with bravery. The first step is bravery, to honor.
By the way, I hope you'll talk about that.
I'm hoping to play some of these transmissions, at least extract some of them.
That'd be great.
It all begins with listening to our own inner voice of conscience and truth and intuition. What's behind that is love. And what comes out of that is service. So we're here to, nobody can force us, nobody can do it for us. We have to awaken ourselves to a sense of things aren't quite right here on Earth. Life isn't working for too many of us. Right. And as one does awaken to that, one comes into a far greater sort of understanding and realization of something profound, something beautiful. And we're here to engage with it. And this is the shift. This is the sort of turning point that some people, many people have awakened to, but evidently not enough people. We're here to love each other. We're here to cooperate and with each other and serve each other. That's the path. That's the journey. Always has been.
So, did Dr. King and his sources allude to at all simulation or technocracy, or if you look at the kind of dystopian track that we're on, clearly there is a limited amount of time before there's a kind of a complete takeover, and you're kind of caught in the machine uh, for the future.
Yes, he did. He didn't talk about it in detail, but he certainly said, he's seen other worlds that have been sort of are run by robots, so to speak, and that's a very dangerous path for humanity to go down. I mean, tying in with sort of karma and reincarnation, we do have lower astral realms on this world. There are higher realms, but there are lower astral realms. I mean, the energy, the karma that humanity has collectively created, going back to Lemur, if not even before, is not all sunshine. We've sowed a lot of darkness, and there are, dare I say, masters of the dark arts who, to some extent, if not a very great extent, have sort of controlled and manipulated the situation we have here on Earth. And that's a very big and fundamental part of this whole cosmic story, which Dr. George King communicated, and I will certainly be going into that in the transition talk. There are lower astral realms. The Earth is changing. And these lower astral realms cannot be allowed to exist in the so-called new world. Very important aspect of this whole story.
How do you do that? How do you is there
We
kind of
can't, John.
huh?
At this stage, I don't want to go too far into it, but at this stage of our evolution, the words Dr. King uses are, we would fall as wheat falls before the cutter. These intelligences, unfortunately, are powerful. And it's taken avatars or adepts, as we refer to them, to come to our world and to go into these lower astral realms on our behalf. It's Armageddon, if you like. It's already taken place. Took place between October the 26th, 1967 and February the 24th, 1969 in a mission called Operation Carmelite. There's a chapter on it in my book, the book you read, Maya Maya. There's far more to this story. It's a profound story. Not only is it profound, it's incredibly important for all of us, for humanity. And that's why I'm very grateful to you for inviting me to give a transition talk. It is a message. We're part of something fantastic. And in many ways, what we're living through is Lord of the Rings. We are in a fight for our world, for Middle Earth. And we are being helped, but we're an essential part of it as aspects of God ourselves, as living beings, with souls. This is why AI is a double-edged sword, I would say.
Yeah, it clearly is. But yeah, and it's interesting to kind of navigate the way forward in that space, because from our point of view, there's no way in the world that you can start to build an alternative world or an alternative point of view or something without taking advantage of the AI because of its extraordinary kind of power. At the same time, it's being used in spades by the dystopians, by the technocrats, and so on. And left to its own, we're of the opinion that there's less than 2 years before the whole thing kind of uh, with digital ID and
Yeah,
central bank
indeed,
dig-
it's very scary, and it is all it's coming to a head. It's coming to a point of culmination. I mean, you're probably also aware, just from an astrological point of view, of the movement of the outer planets. You know, I'm not an astrologer, but I understand from very good astrologers that there is movement in the outer planets lining up that hasn't taken place since the time right before the Renaissance. We're living, coming into something very similar. I believe there will be a spiritual renaissance, but how we go through that and how we come out of that um, obviously remains to be seen, but is to a certain extent, if not a very large extent, depends upon us, how conscious we become, how aware we become.
Yeah, clearly that's the case, and that's the crux of all of this. But that raises then questions: is there kind of a critical mass of people who need to do this? Does it need to be organized in some way, or should it be? What's the path forward here? The possible one. Can you talk about that a bit?
I mean, I can. And again, that very much is dependent on the human race. I mean, as you and I are having this conversation, there's a little bit of sort of whatever it is, brazen behavior on a sort of nuclear point of view taking place between President Putin and President Trump. There's saber rattling. I mean, it's not major, but the word has come up, and Trump's moving some of his nuclear arsenal, etc. I mean, humanity is living on the brink, not only from a technocratic or technological point of view, but in the military sense, we have massive arsenals of atomic weapons that could destroy our civilization, and we have a very, in that sense, unenlightened world leadership, where bravado and saber rattling is part of their game. And one of the transmissions, one of them that was given through Dr. King in 1958, was regarding the coming of another avatar to this earth openly. And again, I'm sure I'll be touching on that in my presentation. And part of the communication is he will, it implies a situation where we are at the point of engaging in a major world atomic nuclear conflict. And this master, this avatar, will step into a situation probably similar to the United Nations, where no doubt there's sort of scrambled to try and prevent this war from happening. He will, and this master, this avatar, will be asked to present his credentials. He will do it. Now, on that score, and again, as you will very well know, but I mean, there have been several, if not numerous, accounts of UAPs being seen over nuclear facilities. These cosmic intelligences clearly have the power. They operate under karmic law. The question is do they also have the karmic authority to prevent us from doing that, from destroying ourselves? But it's as I say, it's Lord of the Rings. We're engaged, we're involved, and but it's a matter of us coming out of this sort of sleep state that we're in as human beings, and reclaim our heritage, our spiritual heritage, in that grand and glorious sense.
Yes, well, it's certainly an extraordinary, which is an understatement in and of itself, because this is so big and so profound. This is an amazing period of time, And those of us who are playing in this space, some of us, including yourself, I'm sure, have a sense of the magnitude of it all. And and we at the Arlington Institute are in the business of trying to facilitate this transition to a new world and to kind of build the case, the picture, the context, uh, that people can understand what in fact is going on and be able to make the decisions to change their life and change the world for that matter. And so we're really excited about having you here, and particularly learning more about about Dr. George King and his perspectives and the messages that he received about what is happening, where we're going, what this big picture is about, and some of the potential outcomes of what's there. And so we'll look forward to having you with us on the 6th of September here in Berkeley Springs, West Virginia, our little resort town about 100 miles from Washington and Baltimore. We always have a wonderful day. It's a Saturday. And we have dinner together, and we get together the night before on Friday night for a happy hour, and it's a wonderful gathering from people all over the East Coast who are coming together to be a part of this extraordinary transition. Our viewers can learn a whole lot more about all of this at transitiontalks.org. And by the way, if you can't make it here, we live stream it. And so it goes all over the world. And so we have an extended audience and community of people who are all part of this amazing kind of experience. And so we're very much looking forward to having you with us again. I'd like to see you again in Berkeley Springs on the 6th of September.
Well, I very much look forward to it, John, and meeting your community. And I, applaud yourself and the whole Arlington Institute for being a center where this kind of information is being presented to a wider world.
Well, thank you very much. And we'll see you all in about a month. And if our viewers have any questions, you can find all that information at transitiontalks.org. Thanks so much. Take care, Paul.
Thank you,
Be well.
On August 20th, 2025, we lost futurist, visionary, and our dear friend, John Petersen. His passing is felt deeply by his family, his friends, and the Arlington Institute community. On September the 6th at Transition Talks, we will honor John and his legacy. Please go to arlingtoninstitute.org to purchase your tickets.
This is a really, really, really big deal.